What's going on, everybody? This is Snoman. Welcome to another brand new snoCast. Today is a very special episode because we have a guest all the way from very deep down under. I'm joined by FERALxPANDA, or Nick from the channel FERALxPANDA. Is it FERALxPANDA or FERALPANDA? I've always wondered.
It's FERALPANDA, like the X is silent, I guess, but, you know, we were all 14 once.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have many accounts that are like Shadow 3791 and things like that, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, dude.
But anyway, welcome, Nick, to the snoCast.
Thank you for having me. It's very nice.
Yeah, it'll be a very interesting topic. We'll get into it in just a second. But first, as always, as tradition, I would like to give you a chance to plug your channel a little bit. Tell us about what you do on YouTube so we can check you out.
Yeah. As he said, I'm on FERALxPANDA, which is a game, and I do a show called Extra Life about game design. Got little drawings and stuff, make it all flashy and nice, but people seem to like it, and I like making it. You know, so you can check that out whenever you're done with listening to this.
Yeah, there you go. Go right over to his channel. Pop on right over. I'm a big fan of Extra Life. Of course, I'm a big fan of game design stuff, as people of my channel know as well. So this is like a match made in heaven and a topic made in heaven. So this is perfect.
Yeah.
So, but absolutely, yeah. Go check out FERALPANDA. I love the drawings. Tie it all together for me. They bring it all home. It makes it unique. I love it.
Thanks, man.
Anyway, today's topic, yeah, and this is an interesting one. I gave Nick a list of topics that I had in mind, and he was like, this is a good one. We can get deep into game design. So our topic for today is what makes a game a game? Like, what makes it different from other forms of media and a game as opposed to, you know, a movie, etc. And so that's kind of a deep question, but I think that's our goal today, is to try and answer that to the best of our ability. So any opening thoughts?
Well, I chose this question because when I was in university, there was one course on video games, just like covering it in general. Because I did, one of my majors was film, television, media studies. So in that course, they asked, what makes a game a game? Like, define a video game. And when I first started off in the course, I was like, oh, well, it's like with a controller, basically. Like, there's player interaction.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but my professor was like, yeah, that's true, but you also have interaction with like DVDs and stuff like that. Like, being able to rewind, pause, and stop is still a form of agency.
Right.
Which kind of messed with me, because I'm like, no, you're being a bit crude with this.
Well, it's hard to, even just thinking about it, so you can't boil it down, I feel like, to one distinct thing. You know, I wrote down a few things that we'll talk about, but to just say it's just that one thing, it's like, well, yeah, you can have control. I feel like it's so much more. But
like, I guess you could say like interactivity from a play as an intended purpose of engaging with the medium. Like, people who make movies don't intend on you stopping and rewinding, you know?
Right. That's not part of the viewing experience normally. Yeah. That's cool that you had a course just on video games, though. Man, I need to go to where you went to college. That's awesome.
It's the only thing I got an A+ in, so...
Yeah.
It was actually the thing that inspired Extra Life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool. Look at that. I know, I wish I had something more on, like, design of a game. I took one course in college that was, like, it wasn't even game development. It was very, very basic game maker, pretty much, learning game maker and stuff. And I really liked it. I made a few games just for fun. But it wasn't so much, like, the theory and the design behind it. And that's stuff that I really just dove into kind of in the last year or so. But, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like, excuse me. But a lot of the game design stuff that I incorporate in my videos and stuff are based off of like film theory more so than anything. And I'm just kind of like tweaking it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just like with this topic, like you can't really tackle games the same way you can do film. It doesn't really do the medium justice.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're different. They're very different in lots of different ways. I think that is kind of an obvious one, is the way I worded it was just experience. Like, you are experiencing it firsthand, but that's maybe not the best word for it because you experience, other things too. But control is a pretty good way to put it. That was kind of the obvious one, right? Is that you are in control of what happens.
It's kind of funny because there are a few games where like they take away that control for like an emphasis in the story as well.
Yeah.
And just to like drive home a point, and it's like, does that sequence then not become a game?
Right, yeah.
It's kind of funny. Like, there's so many like middle grounds between it because video games are such a flexible medium. It's amazing, like, quite frankly. Like, some people even, this is like the thing with like walking simulators as well, like air quotes walking simulator.
Right.
And it's like, there's agency, but like there's a set path and you just press up and you just go there,
Yeah, get the diversity in like some games that are much, much more like a movie, and they're very cinematic, very much heavy on like cutscenes where you can't even do anything. And then there's games where there's none of that and it's all gameplay. There's a huge wide range. So that's the other thing just about talking about games is such a broad term that some games, sure, might be what we're talking about, but some games won't be.
Yeah.
So,
and then there's like even things like board games and like card games and stuff like that. Like, not even just video games.
Yeah.
It's like trying to find like a definition that encompasses like all of that, but also video games. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird because those games have just as much design elements as video games. Well, not just as much. That's kind of unfair, but it's like, Last of Us is obviously has as much depth as Snakes and Ladders, but
right.
But
yeah,
it's still a game.
Yeah,
it's the interactive medium.
Yeah, we do. I think we use that term a lot, but that tells us a lot about what it really is, and that's true. The interactivity of it. Because I was thinking about like a movie. Obviously, you're not actively involved in what happens in the plot. You're just an observer. And the only thing that I could think of where you're more than an observer, other than video games, is something like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to think of, one of the things I wrote was choice, just player choice, and how you have a choice in what you end up doing with the medium. And yeah, like choose-your-own-adventure books were the only other thing I could think of where that's the case as well.
I'm going to be that guy and ask a question that pokes a hole in what you said. A long time ago in film, people would go to theaters. Like, it was a very experimental thing. It didn't shoot off at all because it was not well received. But they would play a film, and then they would ask the audience, what do you want next to happen? And then they would press a button, and then another sequence of the film would then play. It's like, but it's a film, but by that definition, it's also a game.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah. That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And then there's things like, I like talking about the reasons why people engage with games. And the thing is, I was playing Mass Effect. I mentioned this in a video I did, but I was playing Mass Effect, and I realized that I wasn't engaging so much in the third person like shooting sequences. I really wanted to get to like the meat and bones of like the character development and like the moral choice systems, because it's really interesting to me. I like lore, I like story and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then it came to like the moral, like, basically the moral choice wheel of Mass Effect is no different than choose your own adventure book.
Yeah, right. Yeah, as we all found out tragically.
Yeah.
It's true though, because we think about, like, that's one of those games that comes right to mind when we think about player choice, which is funny because it was obviously it ended so not that way, but for a while, like, that was a go-to game of, man, think of all the branching paths and all the different things you can do. And so I think they had kind of a good idea, or at least they were going in that right direction, where player choice had such a heavy influence in what happened.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting how games like made that transition in terms of like design trends. Like, so in like the early 2000s and stuff like that, there were just a lot of like platformers, and we were getting into like 3D games, and like we were able to like make cutscenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, people would play a game, get all the way through, and then they like, talk to their friends like, "Man, can you believe that guy died? Like, what a dick!" And then they go, and then his friend would be like, "That guy didn't die for me. He was with me the entire game." And then just like it just blew minds, you know, like
Yeah.
it was. Then like Fable came out, and then people were like, every choice you make will like completely change everything in the game, and then it just took off.
Yeah. Yeah. What I remember seeing a lot, like in the last 10 years, was morality systems of how, you know, you can be evil or good, and that will play a big role. Like in Fallout 3, I think of that affected who you could get as partners and things like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually doing a video at the moment on Fallout 3 and about moral choice.
there you go.
What do you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's really funny with Fallout because they have like a quantifiable morality system, kind of like Fallout 1 and not Fallout, Mass Effect 1 and 2 and 3, how it's like you do this and you get this many evil or good points.
Yeah.
And then it's like that because you get these points, you're more likely to choose, you lean more towards another area because you'll get benefits at the very end. Like you get the good ending or the bad ending,
Right.
but you won't get any better or worse ending if you're like somewhere in the middle, like if you're ever morally conflicted, and people are like aware of that, so they just keep choosing the good versions or the bad versions to get all the perks,
Right.
Because they want the gameplay benefits.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing BioShock, you're like, I'm gonna just harvest all the little sisters so then I can be super powerful,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then have that last boss fight.
That's exactly what I thought of, actually, was BioShock, because that was another big one. And that one, speaking about things you get in return for your choices, I chose to replay it and do the opposite because I wanted to see both endings. And also, I think you get an achievement for each one. And so I wanted those achievements. And so I played it through. I think the first time was what you said. I harvested because, wow, I get way more Atom. I get more resources. But then the second time, I was like, okay, now this one I'm going to go through and not do a single one and see the good ending and stuff. So it's like what drives that is a big part of it.
I'm really conflicted about that because it's like, I like the idea that your choices matter and they change the ending and stuff. But on the other hand, it's like, I don't want to go through another 8-hour experience to see like 2 minutes of cutscene.
Right. Especially like today when you could just look it up. You could just like YouTube
On
it.
YouTube, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, God, and it's like, back to like the question, it's like, how does that, is like the different endings and you being able to interact with it, is that like making it more of a game when you're like trying to see a different film essentially?
Yeah, well, right, yeah, because endings most often in games like that are that a cutscene, you know. So, right, it's like we're trying to see different films in our game.
Yeah, but I guess like before the 2000s and the moral choice system came in and like choices in general came in, it was just games were purely mechanical, like our platformers, like our Banjo-Kazooies and our, you know, Contra and stuff like that.
Right.
It was just pure mechanics, like get to the end, go.
Yeah. It's very much like just a goal, and I think it, you know, that starts with arcades and it just goes back to like just a high score, like as simple as just getting a high score. And so very, very mechanic based. No, there's no point. There's no story.
Yeah. And it's like, if there is a story, that's not the reason why you play it.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't care that Peach has been kidnapped.
Right.
You never care.
Yeah, I don't.
You're not morally invested in some pixels.
Right.
It's kind of funny how like, because of how far games have come since then, it's like, since games are not as mechanical, or well, they are still mechanical, but like there's other priorities in other areas.
Yeah.
It's like, our games becoming less like games. You know, like,
yeah.
There's even things like, another thing is like dating sims. It's like, those are very much choose your own adventure books, but they're also games.
They are very much choose your own adventure books. Yeah. Yeah. Not very much gameplay at all. And actually I was thinking that myself, playing through like The Walking Dead or any Telltale game.
Yeah.
There is gameplay, but it's so minimal, you know. And not that that's bad. Obviously, like,
Yeah.
It's an experience, and it is still a game. But I think that you play those games for the story, not for the gameplay and the mechanics.
Yeah.
And so
it's
it just
very much different reasons.
Yeah, different reasons of why you would want to play them, and they're
Yeah.
both good and they're fine, but different reasons.
Like, you don't, when you're going through your game wallet, like your big disc tray and stuff like that, and you're like, what game do I feel like playing? And
Right.
you have like Journey on like sitting in your digital library, and then you have like Super Smash Brothers. It's like, you're going to play, that's like a choice. They're not this, they're both games, but they're so fundamentally different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about what you're wanting at that time. Do I want
Yeah.
to have an emotional experience or just sit back and just play for fun?
Now I'm going to be a jerk again and be like, well, you get the same thing with film. Essentially, you're like,
Right.
what am I feeling when I'm watching this? You know, it's like, it's kind of the same, but not really. Like, you're like, do I want to have a little bit of a laugh, or do I want to be scared once in a while?
Right. Well, and I had a hard time because I was trying to think of things, and most of them, it's like, well, but I can still have that with a movie as well. And so that was hard for me to come up with something that is purely separate from things you could experience in a film. And a lot of them are in film. So it's tough.
Yeah, it's very obvious that video games are like heavily inspired from film. A lot of game developers are even like, I wanted to be a filmmaker, but here I am.
Right, yeah.
And it's like Hideo Kojima did that, and like he's made some of like the most amazing games like in history, like some of the best cinematic experiences, like
Right.
PT, like that is just like moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
yeah.
it became, and that is like, mwah, it's like perfect horror.
Yep. Oh, and I mean, Metal Gear, definitely just games that people like, just to say just an experience, and that's such like a, I don't know, broad way to say it, but that's what it is.
Like,
experience.
when people say it's an experience, I'm like, well, everything's an experience, man. You gotta feed me
Yeah,
here.
it's
You gotta,
like, not a good word, but
yeah,
But I think when I say that, we mean more than that was a good movie. Like, when we see a movie, very rarely do we say, wow, that was an experience. You know what I mean? It's different, but I don't know if I can exactly pinpoint what's so different.
like, I think that's like it's just something that like resonates with you personally, or like something that's just resonates with people like of the human condition. Like, you watch like Jurassic World and you'll be like, that was hilarious and dumb and I love it.
Yeah.
And then you'll watch something, you would watch something like the ending of Whiplash or Birdman, and you're like, that was like, or 2001 Space Odyssey, and you're like, that was an experience. Like, it's so fundamentally like different compared to everything else. And kind of like, it's like, you don't get why, but it's kind of human, and you just want to kind of like think it over, you know?
Oh, man.
And I think a lot of
Yeah.
some games are like that as well. Like, I was
absolutely.
playing Journey recently, and that, like, for the first time I played Journey, and it was like, this game's making me feel things, and I don't
Isn't
know
it
why.
awesome? That's one that I thought of, Journey. That game is crazy.
That's amazing.
There's no words, no anything, but like, wow, you finish it and you just sit back and you're like, just like gotta take a breather.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like it's like you step out of a church and you feel clean. You know, that's the feeling you get when you're playing when you play Journey.
Yeah.
I feel pure.
Yeah.
I feel good after that.
Yeah.
I like laid awake at night after playing it because I was up to like 3 a.m. playing it. And I was like, I just laid awake. I was like, that game changed me, man.
It's one of those that you play and just your mouth is open the whole time. Just
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, taking it all in.
It's so beautiful. God.
I'm
I'm getting feels. I'm getting the flusters.
because I was thinking, we already mentioned it, but just the fact that you are experiencing it, I think, plays such a big role. It's not that I'm watching a character go through something. And a lot of games, you play as a character, but the fact that you are that character, and that you are, like, the things that are happening to you, and I think that plays a big role in it, and that's part of why you get attached to certain characters and games in general, is like, this is me, I did that.
Yeah, but I do like that. I do like that, how you can like one can project themselves onto a character and feel that they're experiencing something. It's what I love about game design is that like people can feel these things just from like how the game is constructed. It's like it's a real beautiful thing. It's a really interesting craft. Mm-hmm. But what I'm worried about is that like if it's like a more story-driven game and the character that you're playing as has their own like agenda and their own story and their own lore and stuff like that, it's like, is that character then just going to become like a blanket? You know what I mean? Like how it's trying to appeal to a wide range of people, so they just make the character as generic as possible.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what was it? I think it's the game like Rust. I think that's it. And you just like put in your details, and then it just pre-makes your character, and you don't get to change it at all. So like you'll come into the game, and you'll be, if you're playing as like a white guy, you come in, you're playing as like a black woman, and you're like, all right, I'm just this person. And then there's like racism in the game. It's like, it's not my fault. It's like, yeah, well, that's the point. Like you're now experiencing what it's like to be like a victim of prejudice through this game.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's like a restriction of choice,
right?
But it makes you experience something.
Huh. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is interesting, because that almost never happens. It's almost like they give you way more choice in like character customization and stuff.
Yeah, man. Like I always play as like, whenever I'm playing a game, I'll usually play as like a girl character, just because it's like there's something just so cool about seeing like some girl just like kick so much ass.
Yeah, Just... I'm a big fan of it too. Just games with strong female protagonists. It's like, yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting what Rust has done. Like, but I bet a lot of people aren't very happy with it.
Well, right. That's definitely a double-edged sword. I think a lot of people want choice. They want that however I can make it. Which, I was thinking about this earlier, just like silent protagonist is interesting because, again, it's that is a really easy way to project yourself onto a character because they don't say anything, so you can imagine it however you want. And yet, I don't know how I feel about it a lot of the time, you know?
I think I don't want to like make it seem that there isn't any more point to it, but I think that we kind of hit our peak with silent protagonists in like Metroid. Like, spoiler alert, Samus is a girl. Like people projected themselves onto this character and they're like connected with it, and like in that time, like gaming was very much like a boy thing. It's like it's a boy toy thing, and then it's like Samus was a woman the entire time. It's like, you've been playing as a woman. It shocked people,
right?
You know, it's like having people like switch their expectations and switch what they're comfortable with is a really interesting thing that games can do. It allows you to experience things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to experience in your life.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how many people saw Samus for the first time and like how many thought, what, they made me be a girl this whole time? How dare they? And the other half that were like, wow, that was a girl the whole time? She was BA. That's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
It makes me wonder. But, yeah, like, I guess just, I don't know, the thing with silent protagonists is I think that is an easy way to feel connected to a character, but is it, I don't know if it's the best way or if it's the only way, and so it's just hard because I'm fine with it, and like I love Zelda games and you know, or any kind of game where you're silent, and I get it, but I also feel a connection when there's a character that I like, or you know, a character that I can relate to, even if they talk and have personality and everything.
Well, there's things like some JRPGs have like a silent protagonist that you main as, and then there's like a bunch of other characters that you're constantly interacting with.
Yeah.
Like Golden Sun on the Game Boy Advance. Like you could play as like your character is always silent, but then everyone else in your party has like a voice and they're talking and you're interacting, and you just like respond yes and no pretty much.
Yeah.
And then that can change game endings as well. Or like elements of the game. And it's like, I lost my train of thought.
Well, it's fun. I would think of like Final Fantasy X, where like Tidus is super annoying, and people didn't like, even though like that's your character is Tidus. There's other characters that you could like more, and you're able to play as them. So you could like Auron, who's like super cool and awesome, and it's like, okay, at least I have somebody that, Yeah, that's cool. Even if Titus isn't cool, I can play as cool people too.
Yeah. I think it's a thing where as long as the character, whether it has a voice or not, has purpose towards the game, then that's what should matter most. Mm-hmm. Like, if Samus is like running, that's kind of like why people didn't dig Other M too much. Like, it was just like poor writing for a character who had no voice. Like, we could have put words in our mouth through this. You know, like we could imagine what people are saying when they're like the baby Metroid attacks Samus and she's like, "Whoa, what's going on?" It's like we could understand we could connect with what she's going through more so than anything else.
Absolutely, yeah.
But instead of like her having like a monologue.
Right, because that's a good example of where if you take away that choice, or not choice, but that we can connect the dots, like you're saying. When you take that away, that's an example of how it could play poorly. Because
like, I think that was also a thing with like why some Sonic games are kind of annoying, and everyone is very much like super into like the older ones. Like Sonic has like such personality, even in like when he wasn't opening his mouth. Right. Like, and now he's just like saying quips like every couple seconds. Yeah. And it's like, you're annoying now. Like, he's been annoying the whole time. He's been obnoxious the whole time, but he just stood there and like tapped his foot and got angry at you.
That's so true. He always had the attitude, but now he's like voicing it.
Yeah. So like, you want personality, but you don't want to beat someone over the head with it.
Right. Well, because I think being relatable is a really important part. That's what I think of in movies and TV shows. If there's a character that I don't care about because they're a scumbag, it's really hard for me to enjoy it, because why do I care about this person, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just a really recent example I can think of is Nightcrawler, the movie. I don't know if you saw that. No. It has Jake Gyllenhaal, and the guy is a total scumbag. He will do anything and everything he can to get ahead, even like killing people and I mean, it's crazy. And I just think this is I can't feel anything for this guy because he's terrible, but he's like the main character. You're supposed to like feel a connection for him or something, and maybe you're not. I don't know. Maybe that was the whole point, and I missed it. Is that you're supposed to hate him? I don't know, but I've seen other things like that where I don't care for the characters, and so I don't care for the movie or TV show.
Yeah. I think once again, it's a thing where it's like it needs to have purpose.
Yeah.
Like, I'm reading the manga Berserk at the moment, and it opens up like almost midway into the series, and the main character is just like a jerk. He's just like, he's awful. He's like relentless. He's inhuman. And every other character is like, why is he so straight up evil? Like, what's with this man? He's heartless.
Yeah.
And then it goes back and then establishes this, all this context for why he's so jaded. And it's like, so like you can have a character that's a jerk, but like once you go on this journey with this character to understand why he acts the way he is, it's a lot more relatable. So a character, it's like, it's context. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
And games let you experience that. Like from the very start, like you're that character, you get to create that context and be a part of that context.
Yeah, you can go through those experiences that change a character, and that's what I think makes it unique from. It goes back to just that you are the one experiencing those. Yeah. I don't know. I play something like Arkham City, and it's a game where over the course of the whole game, you see Batman get more and more tattered and torn up. And you just think like that was me. Like I overcame all those things. I felt those. I felt every hit that I got. And I don't know. You look at him throughout as you get to the end of the game, and it's like, wow, look how much I've overcome. And that's what I really like about it. It's that very personal. I experienced it feeling.
What's a great thing that they did mechanically with that, not with specifically Batman, but like some games do, is that like they'll have a character that you start off and lose against, or that you start off and like they're set as the scale of power, and then later on you're a lot more strong. You're like a lot more skilled or a lot more stronger, and you overcome that character. It's like, man, that's a good contrast.
Yeah,
like a lot of games have done that, and it's better for it.
I was talking to Peridactyl about that. We were watching Games Done Quick actually this week, and there was a game where in the very last level, the main enemies that you fight were bosses earlier in the game. And talk about such a great way to make you feel like you're stronger and stuff, when just the regular peons that you're fighting now were bosses, ones that were really hard earlier. I love when games do that. Like, that's so cool to give you that feeling of accomplishment and progress.
Yeah, me too, man. I love that.
That's actually if I could think of, I wrote down a lot of different things, like emotion, but obviously you can feel emotion in a movie. I do think that relates to your personal experience. Like, the emotion happened to me. That's what's kind of different about it.
It's more personal.
Right. More personal. But the one thing that I could think of that I don't think I can get from watching a movie is accomplishment. Like, when you beat a game that's really hard, or you beat a boss that's really hard, or a level, and it's like, yes! And you just, like, throw your fists up and, like, I did it, I can't believe it. You don't get that from a movie. You don't get that from a book. And
unless it's a really bad movie.
Well, that's what I think. Is like the only way is like I accomplished finishing it because it was, it's like, yes, I sat through all Lord of the Rings. Like, I did a marathon. I feel accomplished. But you don't
like a movie's so bad and you're like, I didn't throw up.
I sat through it all the way without walking away. Man, you don't get that in movies and books and other media. In games, you can feel accomplished because you did it. I thought that was something that set it apart.
Yeah, there are the thing is, I'm going to bring back the walking simulator thing, and it's like trying to understand the accomplishment in that.
Right.
Like, there isn't so much of a challenge. I mean, some are, like, games like Gone Home have like puzzle elements to it. Like, I haven't played it, but like I know that there's puzzle elements to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's more like a detective simulator.
Right.
But I played a game called what's it called? Like, I think it's Proteus. Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's literally walking around on an island.
Yeah.
And it's strange because, like, you're just be walking around and then this magical thing just happens and you're like, did I do something to trigger that? And then you're trying to go around trying to trigger it again to see, like, how it will progress. And it's like, is that like a mental puzzle? Or is it, or is it just coincidence and I'm dumb? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And is that curiosity itself, like, supposed to be intentional as
That's
like a
really
mechanic?
good point with Proteus, because I think I had that same experience with that game.
Yeah.
I didn't know that that's all it was, so I'm walking around trying to find what the purpose is. What am I doing here? And things like that will happen, and it's like, ooh, wait, this is different.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, actually.
And that game got, like, a lot of flack, but, like, it was strangely enthralling.
Yeah,
to me at least.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't walk away going like, well, that was dumb. It was just like, that was interesting.
Yeah. It's like, good thing I got it on a Humble Bundle. But,
right. Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's a good point, because that's not in every game, the accomplishment that I was saying. That's not in every game, obviously. But at least part of what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's like this mental curiosity as well. It's just a different type of engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I feel like your brain's more active. You're more involved.
Yeah. Because, like, when you're watching something, as much as, like, it can compare to Proteus and be like, what's going on? What's this? It's a different type of what's going on. What's this? It's like, what are they going to do to figure it out? What are these characters going to do to, like, figure things out? Because it's so awful when you're watching a film and you're like, just do this. Just do that. It's so simple. That's the solution.
Yeah.
But, like, with games, it's like, that's the solution. I did it. What's next? And then you feel great because you accomplished something.
That's a really good point, that it's like, I'm going to do that then. I'm going to do it. Not, like you said, they got to figure it out now, or they're going to have to try and solve that. It's, well, I'm going to do it. Let me try different things,
Every time I watch a horror film and the killer is going to, like, sneak up, like, in the room and, like, everyone's going like, she's right behind you. I'm thinking, this girl is going to miss the QuickTime event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
That's really funny.
Thank you.
That well, because I was thinking about like Lost. I watched Lost a few months back for the first time, and I had so many questions. Just like every episode ended with more questions. It's like they would answer your question with more questions. So it was always that. But exactly what you said, I didn't feel like it was happening to me. It wasn't that I had to now solve those questions. It's now I want to watch them solve it. But it's a different experience when you're the one that has to do it.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna get a bit too real at the moment and be like, it's kind of like an innate thing that people do, is like we like to observe and we like to analyze how things will turn out. Mm-hmm. But it's also like a thing with like sometimes you're having like a weird day, you go on YouTube and you see like National Geographic and like animals like kill each other. It's like, it's messed up to watch, but like it's interesting to observe.
Yeah.
And it's like the art of like this weird thing of killing is like so messed up, and you know it's messed up, but you want to learn more about it. And that's another thing with games even. It's like, I'm not going to literally go out and kill someone, and I wouldn't stomach watching like a beheading video on the dark corners of the internet. But like, I'll behead a demon in in like God of War or something.
Yeah. That is really interesting. It's a good point.
And it's like, are games allowing us to like, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm not saying violence is like engaging with the violent tendencies that people can have like as an awful thing. Like those urges, like it's better to like play a video game than, you know, punch someone in the face.
Yeah. I don't know. You're right. Like, I don't know why, but like it is better, quote unquote, to beat a guy with a bat in a game than to do it in real life.
Like, it's indulgent, and it's like films are indulgent in one way, like as an observer, but games are indulgent in another way, as like to partake or to simulate. And luckily, people are smart enough to tell the difference between reality and fantasy, because you know they're sitting in a chair while they're doing it.
I don't know if you ever watch Extra Credits, but they do a series on game design, and they did one on Punch-Out, the Punch-Out for Wii. And that whole episode was about how well Punch-Out makes you feel everything happening to you, and that you're doing it, you know? Yeah. And so, like, when Little Mac punches, it's instant. Like, there's no delay, and so it feels like you hitting the button is really you punching that person. And it's quick to hit, but then there's, like, a lot of slow after effect, and so you really feel the oomph behind every hit. And same when you get hit, is it slows down and you feel the chug when you get hit. And it's just great when games like can do that, where they really emphasize the personal feel to it. That's me in there. I'm, you know, talk about a silent protagonist that you can connect with, but like that's the embodiment of I'm in the game right here, and I'm feeling everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, that's such an interesting thing. Like having like this juxtaposition between controller and action on the screen. Yeah. Like having to design that is like a really, I guess that's why like a lot of games have like the shoot button on the trigger buttons, because it's a trigger. It's like, that's an obvious thing to do.
Like an actual trigger. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, to design a game and keep with the controller in mind and how it would feel to use. But then there's like games with like a billion ports on different sorts of consoles, and that's like, then people are like, oh yeah, you play that version because it's better. Like you can feel why it's better.
Yeah.
Like as much as Okami is a game that you can like, that you play on either PlayStation 3/PS2 on or the Wii, you'd think that like painting would be better with the Wii remote, but it can be a bit janky sometimes, just because that's how the Wii can be.
Yeah.
So like, it performs better on PS3, but like once you get the flow of the Wii version, it can work really well. It's interesting just having like different ways of having game feel and having this juxtaposition on the screen.
Right, because some games like Punch-Out are instantaneous, and you feel that, and I think a lot of games that we say have good game feel are that very instantaneous response. But some games purposefully don't have that, you know. Or I think of games like Castlevania or something where you have a committed jump arc where when you jump and you can't turn around and stuff, and there's a delay. Sometimes there's a delay to your actions on purpose, like that's placed in there on purpose. Yeah. And the other side of the coin is, well, that's more realistic. Like if you were really in that situation, you would hesitate, or you would be scared, and you can't really change trajectory in real life in air, and so it's more realistic. But you got to weigh both, because it has to feel good, or is too realistic, like not enjoyable.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually. Like, as much as you will go into a game like Oblivion or Skyrim or whatever, and like your first person, like the screen's like shaking because you're running too much. Like the swing of the shit, like the camera kind of like ways off one way once you've kind of swung a sword because of the weight behind the sword. It's like, that's like really interesting. But on the other hand, you can equip like the boots of Spring-Heeled Jack and jump like 50 feet in the air.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I don't know. I think I keep coming back to what makes game a game is the fact that you are in the driver's seat, and the fact that the things are happening to you and you're the one that's making the decisions. Yeah. Because all those other things are related to that. Like the fact that emotion happens to you is the fact that it's happening to you, or a character that you drew a connection with. The fact that you have the player choices, that you're in the control. The feeling of accomplishment comes from the fact that you're in control. Like I feel like it all boils back down to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like everything in a game is designed to have your interaction and your input in some way. Like not just you pressing a button, but like how you pressing a button will feel on the game, how it will interact with its world, and like how it will, like, even if it doesn't do anything, the things that'll trigger in like your mind, like how you will be engaging in it. Totally. I think we've covered ground by that's like a good knot together from what all we've gone through. Well,
and it's funny because I was thinking back, isn't that what your game development class was on? It's control.
Yeah.
And so we kind of unpacked, but it's kind of that same thing. So I just thought that was funny.
That's full circle, man.
Yeah, we did. We came full circle. Exactly.
I feel enlightened.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's really funny because we were talking and I was just thinking, I feel like we've made a video idea just by like all the things we've talked about. Like I can just think of all these connections we made to games and like, I should do a video on that.
Yeah.
Lots of different connections you can make. It's good, man.
Yeah.
Any other things you want to add about what makes a game a game?
Dude, I don't know, man. Like I think we've covered quite a bit.
Enlightened's a good word for it. I feel enlightened too.
Yeah. I'm inspired.
Yeah, man. It was a really good talk. It really was. I think we hit a lot of really good stuff.
Hey, man. If you want me back, I'll come back anytime.
I know. Seriously, I feel like we gotta do a sequel sometime. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for being on, man. It really was good.
It was an honor and a pleasure, my friend.
Indeed. We're going to go to the end slate now, so I'll pop up the end slate, and you can check out one of FERALxPANDA's videos. I'll probably, I don't know, I guess I'll ask you what you want, but probably an extra live or something, since that's game design related. Would make sense.
That would be good.
Yeah, so who knows? But go check out his videos, and we both have lots of stuff on game design, so if you like this talk, we have stuff all about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Oh, it's you remember earlier we were talking about when you experience it and you just have to sit back and you're like, whoa, that was an experience. This talk was an experience.
Right now.
I just had an experience. I gotta go mull it over now and think on it. Any parting words before we sign off?
Be good. Don't Don't get in a bar fight and play a game instead.
Right, yeah, take it out on virtual characters.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's funny because like everyone talks about Grand Theft Auto as like the game that it's so violent, it's going to cause people to kill people. And the first time I played Grand Theft Auto 4, I played it for like 6 hours straight and just went around beating people with bats and like and punching people in the street and stuff. You know, the things that everyone does in Grand Theft Auto, like when you play it for the first time. And I remember waking up and driving home the next day because I was at my friend's house, and I was just like, I still had those like impulses of like, I could just steer this into the side or run over a person or whatever. And it's like, it scared me that I was having those thoughts. And like, obviously I didn't act on them, but it's like, whoa, okay. I had a little too much Grand Theft Auto.
It's better to use those impulses in games though.
Exactly, yeah. And I guess
that's the thing.
I therapeutically took it out on all my pent up anger or something.
Yeah, man, sometimes you get home from work, your boss is just being a jerk, and you're just like, man, I'm going to play Punch-Out because Glass Joe looks a lot like my boss.
There you go. Whatever way you need to do, man, just let it out. Awesome. Well, hey,
I love video games, man.
It's games, man. See, and this is the power of games, the things you can do that you can't do in real life.
Yeah.
Thanks one last time for being on. It really was a blast and an honor for me to have you.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah.
Real fun.
We'll see you guys on the next snoCast. As always, you can leave topic ideas in the comments below, and we might do it on another snoCast. And so thanks for watching, as always, and we'll see you next time. Until then, bye-bye.